Hello, hello. Hope you guys doing fantastic today. Patch 0.11 is here. We're going to go over the changes, the most important changes. This is a massive, massive patch, and I'm really impressed that GG was able to put this amount of changes in like week, 2 weeks since they came back from Christmas break. We're not going to go over all of these changes because obviously I doubt that you guys want me to read every single line there, and this video is going to take like an hour or something. But I'm going to talk about the most important changes in my opinion because I did read the patch before, and more or less I know what I want to talk about. So let's get into it. All right. So first of all, they added 4 new tower maps, and also the Lost Tower was revamped. What does that mean? That means that wherever you're going to be doing your tower maps, your setups, right? You just want to I don't know. Let's just say that you want to farm breach, right? You want to find an area that has 4, 5, 6 towers. You want to do all of them first, then you want to put your I don't know quantity tablets inside of them, and then you want to farm the maps in the area. That will make it a little bit more interesting because there will be different variations of towers. Lost Towers map has also been revamped. I wonder what that means because, you know, the biggest complaint that people had is that the Lost Towers is very boring and there is nothing happening in it. Maybe they added some cool stuff. Maybe they added density. I don't know exactly what does that mean, but we're going to find out and see. Um, Arbiter of Ash, and this is something that will apply to other boss fights in the future, but I do believe for now it only applies to Arbiter of Ash boss. You will have up to 6 respawn attempts this fight. Respawns can be only triggered by the person who put in the keys, and everyone in your party will be respawned at the same time. Leaving the map will forfeit your attempt, so you'll still need to fight the boss with your build you walked into map with. Higher difficulties of the boss will lower the number of respawn attempts you receive. We'll be looking to add a respawn attempts to other Pinnacle content over time. That is huge, especially for newer players. I totally get the idea that your average player will probably not get to these boss fights very soon, or maybe sometimes at all. But for many players that are intermediate level, let's just say, getting to this boss fight will allow you to just practice. It's not going to be like you're going to start the fight like you're level 85 or something. You found your citadels. I doubt that you would find your citadels at level 85, but whatever level that's going to be. You found your citadels. You're going into a boss fight. You're all happy. You're hyped up, and then you get one shot by a meteor. I mean, it still can happen, but at this point, you will be able to at least, not instantly lose the fight, but you will be able to practice and have multiple attempts. That will make these boss fights much easier. Uh, Minus the fact that you will still lose experience, however many times you're gonna die. But at least you will be able to finish the boss much more easily, and the sweet juicy loot is not going to go bye bye. I would assume that the amount of loot, the loot that this boss drops will probably go down in price over time because people will just be able to finish the boss like much more often, right? To compensate, they made it so that the Arbiter of Ash cannot no longer be interrupted during his falling flame seed skill, and the flaming gale skill can no longer be blocked. Also, the boss is invulnerable for longer during the emergence and now takes significantly reduced damage while emerging. This is totally reasonable because at the start of the fight, you have like a 5-second window when you can damage the boss for free and he does nothing. So this is essentially gone, I do believe. And this is also totally reasonable, although right now, before you could block and dodge, they're not saying anything about dodging this with acrobatics. I wonder if they forgot about it. But this change reads as if you don't dodge these skills, the meteor or the flame gale, these flames, you're dead. I'm sorry. These abilities, I do believe. I don't know if the same for Flaming Gale, but I do believe that the meteors do about 1,000,000 fire damage. And I'm confident that there is nothing in the game right now that can tank this amount of damage. So I bet that in a year or two you will be able to. Right now, it's just I'm pretty sure that it's completely impossible. Even with 90 fire resistance, if this ability doesn't penetrate fire resistance, you would still need 100,000 energy shields. So that is just not gonna happen. Added checkpoints to map areas. That's nice. You will be able to, travel through the maps more easily in case you're missing like a rare monster somewhere. Minimum 3 rare monsters. I think that they added it because there was a bug that the guy, like one person, had a map when there were no rare monsters. So he couldn't finish the map, literally. Uh, yeah, I mean, every map will have at least 3 now. Citadels can now appear closer to Cigarette Refuge. That's nice because it will be easier, especially for newer players, to find citadels. And if you don't want to fight the boss, you can just sell them and get some good money, right? So that's totally fine. Visibility, this is not really that important. There's a new Overseer's Precursor tablet that will add bosses instead of the mechanics like Breach or Delirium, these things, if you know what I mean. You will be able to add bosses now with a different modifiers on these tablets. So that's actually pretty interesting. I doubt that many people will do that, but maybe, who knows. Alright, this reads as there will be the different maps will have different hidden modifiers. So the maps that you absolutely hated doing, like, I don't know, Vol Factory, Augury, Mire, I do believe the bigger they are, they will have different modifiers, hidden modifiers, that will make them more attractive. Like, for example, can contain up to double number of monsters, 50% more magic monsters, 50% rare monsters, higher chance to contain essences, strong boxes, shrines, and so on and so on. These changes are actually amazing and will make maps like, sometimes you just have to go through a really bad map to get to better maps. And, this will make these really bad maps more enjoyable and more rewarding. So that's absolutely fantastic. Hideouts, substantially more magic monsters. Yes, if you're going to be taking hideouts, there's going to be more monsters to fight. That's not really great. Monsters in Untainted Paradise has the amount of monsters there has been buffed by a lot, and it's freaking fantastic because this map was absolute horrible. I would compare it to strong boxes, literally, when it comes to how useful this was. Clickability of shrines, that's nice because I swear I wasn't the only one that had problem with this. Reduce damage scaling monsters simulacrum encounters with added difficulty. That will be fantastic because these monsters hits like truck, so simulacrums will be easier to to finish now. And some other not that important changes. I would say the most important 2 changes are these ones. The reduced number of monsters in small chests from breaches by 15%. I do believe that this change will effectively do very little because during the interview, I believe Mark or Jonathan said that there's so many monsters spawning during breaches that they were getting errors because one monster couldn't spawn on top of the other one because there are just too many monsters that wanted to spawn. So this essentially will mean that breach is still going to be amazing. I don't think that this is going to matter. Simulacrum sprinters found bomb maps by 20%. That's nice. And the big items like fragments, breachstone, simulacrums, audience with the king will have more appropriate gold value. Gold value to vendors. So very nice changes here. Let's move to skill changes. Supercharged slam actually got nerfed. It's hard to say that it got nerfed because it's only a nerf after 6 aftershocks. I'm assuming they did this change so that it doesn't get like cheesed in a stupid way. Scavenge plating, unfortunately, I was hoping that they will change it mechanically so that you don't have to armor break in order to get your armor. Comparing it to evasion skill, like the evasion, like in comparison, right? The Gale Force. Gale Force is very easy to get. You just get it by doing nothing, and you can sustain it very easily. And Gale Force is fantastic. On top of that, Gale Force provides way more evasion than Scavenge Plating provides armor. You still need to break enemies' armor in order to get your armor bonus, which sucks because it doesn't mean that you have to be playing physical build, but it's going to be wonky. And I really don't like that change. I think that scavenge plating is still going to be, like for builds that can use that and get extra armor, that's good, but I still don't like this skill. Lightning Bolt, this is pretty much a bug fix. This will prevent the never-ending loop that storm bolts create more stun bolts, that create more stun bolts, that create more stun bolts. You get the idea. This is gone. Temporal's unique body armor can no longer reduce the cooldown to skill over the skill below 100 milliseconds. That's nice. Probably they put it in the game to like stop people from abusing like edge cases, something like that. And for the most part, that is it from the, to me, important things. Then we have monster changes. I'm going to go quickly over monster changes. For the most part, monsters' damage in the game got reduced. Also, the annoying things that we had in the game got removed from the game. Abilities like, for example, the rolling ability from the monkey boss got drastically reduced in damage. There's so many other things. Honestly, when I was reading this, many of these changes, I didn't even know what these monsters were. There are very few monsters in the game to me that are very annoying, like for example witches that cast drowning orbs. Some monsters do a little bit more damage than the others, but I honestly didn't have really problems with most of them. As you can see, there are many, nerfs to monsters and also visual indicator improvements. So with all these nerfs, the game is going to be way more enjoyable, and mapping is going to be way more enjoyable. And the cases where you just die and you don't even know what killed you, these cases will also probably reduce. So very nice here. Then general changes and improvements. Enabled migrating from source self-file leaks to corresponding parent leaks, so it's going to be standard hardcore currently. So yeah, you can just migrate now. Very good change for soul self-found players that wanted to go trade, because for example they found mirror and they decided that they don't want this mirror to rot in their inventory. Instead, they want to migrate to standard or hardcore standard and spend this mirror trade to get insanely powerful gear, which is fantastic. Strong boxes were made less horrible. We don't know how much, but yeah. Strongbox fog effect now fades away once all the waves of enemies have been spawned. I really don't understand why this fog effect even exists in the game. It would be so easy if the monsters spawn quickly and they were like shining, like I don't know, they had like an extra color or something, like they were shining in red, so that you could know where they are and that these are the monsters from the strongbox. That would be so easy to just do, and this fog is so unnecessary. But there are improvements to strug boxes. I'm still probably going to run away as quickly as possible once I encounter any single one. So these are good changes. The problem is strong boxes, on top of how horrible they are, they do not drop any loot, any items. Not literally, but figuratively. They just don't. They just don't drop anything. The best thing, I swear, I opened like maybe 20 strong boxes since the start of the early access, maybe like 20, and the best drop I've had from a strong box was a not chance orb, chance shard. So 1/10 of a chance orb. That was the best item I've received from a strongbox. I'm that freaking serious. There's probably going to be some improvements here in the future. It's what I'm trying to say. Absolutely massive change. Socketables such as runes can now be overwritten by placing another socketable item in a socket. If you have a very nice item and you put runes in there and you want to switch them now, you can. Absolutely amazing change. And this will probably slowly but surely increase the prices of the runes, because people will use them more, and it will actually be nice to find one that is rare or something. So very nice change, fantastic change. GGG. Flask with quality now can be salvaged. Glassblower bubbles. in shambles. Sell your glass blower blabbles, boys, because with this change, there will be many people with flasks with quality that they will salvage and they will get their glass blower bubbles. Yeah, so the price of this consumable will go down, most likely. Armor has been made more effective by approximately 15%. All right, that's nice. If armor was as good as it is in PoE 1, in PoE 2, something tells me that it's going to need a little bit more than that. Something tells me that it's going to need a little bit more than that. 15% is okay. That means that you'll mitigate smaller hits a little better. Big hits you will still not mitigate. So there's not much to say, to be honest. I it's crazy because I'm the person that could talk about armor for hours. This is my one of the this might be my favorite mechanic to stack in PoE 1, and I had so many armor stackers in the past, and so on. And armor, I really, really, really love to build around armor, and this is the change that I can probably tell the least about from all these patch notes. I don't know why. It makes me like dead inside when I read this. I don't know why. More monsters are now able to be pushed while dodge rolling. This generally applies to most monsters smaller than a skeleton. Fantastic. Delirium shards now going to be pushed by other monsters. Increased chance to omens appear as ritual rewards. That's hopefully going to decrease the ridiculous prices that some of these omens have. Very nice. Reduce the chance for less desirable item modifiers. Okay. The still emotions required to instill a passive form in amulet now displayed in the passive skill chapter. Basically, at this point, there are like some improvements. The quality of life improvements, I would say. I think that these changes were like the most important ones. I'm trying to look real fast here. If I can see anything that is as important, but I think for the most part, this is it. Unique item changes. I am not going to go over these because okay, I'm just going to put all of them together. So one unique item that is actually interesting here is Brass Dome. Excuse me. I think this unique is almost semi-viable now. This is a unique that with a good roll will give you about 3,000 armor now, which is actually decently more than what you can get from a rare chest. From rares, you can get like 2,500. Brass Dome, like with a very good roll, will give you about 3k. If you're going to corrupt it to like 570% or something, or 600%, this will actually give you huge amount of armor, like 3.5, close to 3.5k or something, with a very good corruption. And on top of that, the penalty from -5 elemental resistances, which was absolutely horrid, got changed to from -5 to -1 all elemental resistances. If you're going to roll one with a very good amount of armor and with only -1 to all maximum elemental resistance, which is not that big of a penalty at this point, it's totally tolerable. Then you get a chest piece that gives you 3,500 armor, almost, and the armor got buffed by 15%, and the penalty is almost non-existent anymore, and you get crit immunity. Keep in mind, the reason why Brass Dome is so popular in PoE 1 is, it gives you a lot of armor, which is better than it is in PoE 2, but it gives you crit immunity. Guess what? This crit immunity will work on any damage type in the game. It will not just reduce the damage from physical damage if you get crit by a physical hit. This will just make you immune to crit. And also the modifier that is pretty dangerous, by the way, that increases critical damage and critical strike chance by a lot in maps. Also completely useless, gone. It doesn't exist anymore. So unironically, the brass dome on a character like Titan that has additional 50% more, brass dome could literally could be like a 5,000 armor chest piece on a Titan, and Titan gets hulking form on top of that, which will increase the effectiveness of armor. With this armor, you could easily get like 30 to 40,000 armor on Titan. At 40,000 armor and immunity to crits, this armor becomes kinda decent. Given the fact that you lose, like for example, you're gonna have 150 life on your armor chest piece and some resistances, maybe some strength. But versus that, but as a benefit, you get insane amount of armor, and only -1 to elemental maximum elemental resistances, which is okay. And then you get crit immunity. That is, I would say, borderline viable at this point. They kind of like destroyed the biggest penalty that this armor had, which is this. This is what I was complaining about. This was absolutely horrid. Now -1, it's okay. And this amount of armor is really substantial, especially with a corruption. So I wouldn't sleep on Brass Dome. With this one item, you could completely solve your physical damage problems completely. At 40,000 armor and improved armor by 15%, approximately 15%, right? But with like 40,000 armor and improved formula, you could start literally tanking like monkey slams even, or damage from Uber bosses. You really could. This is not like a small amount of armor at this point. It's really not. And 40,000 armor, as I mentioned before, with this chest well rolled, it's not going to be hard to get. And of course, you will get additional benefit from heat proofing with this amount of armor. I know it calculates different from PoE 1. I know it's before resistances, but at 40,000 armor, heat proofing will decrease the fire damage taken still by a lot. The difference is that if this 25% worked after resistances, you'll be literally immune to fire damage, and this node will be giga overpowered. So before resistances, it's still going to be strong. But yeah. And the rest, I talked about Brass Dome for like 3 or 4 minutes. The rest of these unique items, from what I've seen, like literally 95% of them are just small improvements, and they're all leveling uniques. I do believe they made these changes to, like, to cater a little bit more towards newer players, because like maybe, I don't know, newer players were finding some uniques and they're like, oh, this unique is worse than my rare, and they're kind of disappointed, right? Which I totally understand. I think that games should have decent uniques, and you should be excited to, like, your Act 1, you should be excited to find like a unique mace or unique sword or something. You should be like, you should get like, some adrenaline like pump. You should get like, hyped. So good changes overall, but as I mentioned before, these will not matter because these are all level uniques for the most part, and these will just make leveling easier on your second character, for example. You will be able to get these and like put some of these uniques in your tabs to use on your secondary characters and characters after that. So good changes overall, and Brass Dome borderline maybe decent. Bug fixes, I'm not going to go over these. The most important ones is fix the bug where some objects such as Vine Arrow plants were incorrectly counted as targets while taking splash damage through the implicit modifier, the Cultist Greyhammer base type. Thankfully, Cultist Greyhammer had no fixes whatsoever so far. But Rip Rueto, I believe he had a build that was utilizing this. It's gone from the game. It's removed from the game. And there are some other things. Fix the bug where Herald of Ice was still exploding shatter enemies when the gem was set to be used with currently inactive weapon set. This change is going to... I can't say it's a bad change because they're fixing bugs, right? So, you'll just have to... Oh no, you will have to use insanely broken Herald of Ice in the intended way before they freaking destroy it to the ground. But for now, Herald of Ice is still broken. It's just not bugged and broken at the same time. So, so yeah, I mean, that's decent. There are some other changes. Fix the bug where tier 5 bows could not roll attacks, increase attack speed, tier 5 rings could not roll maximum life. So tier 5 items will drop with, like, they will work properly, so you can actually get excited when you see a tier 5 item on the ground, which is nice. Many other um, big excuse me, bug fixes. I almost said something bad. That I'm not going to go over. You can definitely read those if you want by yourself, but there's just too many of them. There's just I said that I wanted to make this video a 15-minute one. It's already 25 minutes. If I wanted to read every single one of these, that would be like take 2 hours. So I'm just going over the most important ones. Control improvements. I don't play on the controller, but there is a one massive improvement there. I'm going to put them together with console as well. On console, you can use the loot filter now. Kudos to all the people that play on console before, because I have no idea how you guys played without loot filter. I would lose my mind, literally. I would go play Diablo 4 instead of PoE, because if I had... Okay, I'm just kidding. But I'm just kidding. But seriously, if I had no loot filter and I wanted to juice my breach maps, I would just lose my mind. This game would be just not playable. I'll be doing just, I don't know, nothing else but like perma farming bosses or something, because the mapping would just not be playable. So this problem is fixed. You have a loot filter on console now, which is fantastic. And then for controller improvements, I don't play on controller, but these changes are on the site. I'm going to give you the link, by the way, to this site, to this page, in the description. Localization fixes and microtransactions. They added some of the microtransactions, I do believe, from PoE 1, or maybe they were just specifically made for PoE 2. I'm not sure, but yeah. And the most important change, Una's song still won't be playing correctly. This was unexpected, even for us to cause so much trouble to fix. I do believe, you won't be able to hear her beautiful singing for now, but I do believe they will change that in the future. And that's going to be it. This took way longer than I thought it's going to take, but like when I start talking, there's just no freaking end to it. So one more little thing to people that are maybe interested about the progress of Shaolin. The progress is going pretty well, boys. I still need many improvements and many items because I'm still farming, but I would say that we're getting to the point where I can confidently say that this will be the tankiest character in the game so far, from all the characters I've seen at least. Perhaps there's someone that made something tankier, but from what I've seen, this will be the tankiest character. I need to continue pushing ES. From my observations, I will just mention that I think I could push about 50,000 energy shield on this character while having about 70% evade chance with acrobatics. That is just ridiculous. But that's going to be it, because I made this video way too long than I wanted anyway. Next video is going to be probably tomorrow, maybe in 2 days, with the update on Shaolin. And hope you guys will have a fantastic day. Bye bye.